Hello, and welcome back to Two Therapists Walk Into a Podcast. I'm Robin Green, an LCSW in Tucson, Arizona.
And I'm Stephanie Etzel, an LCSW, coming to you from Salt Lake City, Utah.
We are in Series 9, A Year in the Room, and this week we are revisiting one episode that holds a special place in our hearts and in our runtime specifically.
Yeah, because we called it a mini episode.
We sure did call it a mini episode, and it was not a mini episode at all. It was actually one of our longest. And it turns out when you ask two therapists who love a modality to talk about it briefly, that's just not what happens.
It is not. And we have no regrets. I'm just kidding.
None.
You guys know what I mean. Yeah, we don't have any regrets.
None whatsoever. Episode 9.5, Why We Love ART, a deep dive into accelerated resolution therapy. And today we're going back in with more experience, more research, and the same completely undiminished enthusiasm.
So let's get into it.
And before we do, let's arrive. Wherever you are, whatever you're carrying today, whatever body you're in, whatever it's been asked to hold this week, you are exactly here, exactly as you are. If you are able, just notice that you showed up. Take a breath if that feels available. Whatever your body does, when you give it a moment, that's what's right. Maybe something settles, maybe it doesn't, and either is fine. This episode is going to talk about trauma and how we heal it, and if that's personal territory for you, and for a lot of people it is. I just want you to know this is a safe place to be curious. You don't have to be in treatment. You don't have to be ready to do anything. You can just listen. Let's begin. So, accelerated resolution therapy, ART, as we call it, and we will be calling it throughout this episode. For anyone who hasn't heard of it, let's start at the beginning.
ART is a relatively newer trauma therapy developed by Lainey Rosenzweig in the late 2000s. And it works by combining elements of established therapies like EMDR and brief solution-focused therapy with something called voluntary image replacement, which we will get into.
What makes ART distinct is the speed. Most people see significant shifts in 1 to 5 sessions. And that's not us overselling it. That's consistent with the research. For trauma that has been sitting in the body for years, sometimes decades, that kind of movement is genuinely something.
It truly is. It works across a really wide range of experiences. PTSD, anxiety, depression, grief, phobias, chronic pain, and even performance issues. ART has been studied and used effectively across all of it. It's one of the more genuinely adaptive trauma modalities out there right now. I really do personally love it, and I use it almost every day.
Me too. I love it too. And so here's how it works at a basic level. The therapist guides the client to bring a distressing image or memory to mind. Not to talk about it in detail, but just to hold it. Then bilateral eye movements are introduced, similar to what happens in EMDR. This activates the brain's natural processing mechanisms. the nervous system starts doing what it actually wants to do with stored trauma, move it through.
Then comes the part we both find genuinely fascinating. Voluntary, I love it, yes, voluntary image replacement. Once the distress has come down, the client gets to choose what replaces the original image, these adaptive memories we're working with, not what the therapist thinks should replace it, not a prescribed positive thought, what the client wants to be there instead.
That piece matters enormously because so much of trauma involves having things happen to you without choice, without agency, without your body really being yours. And so ART hands that back. You decide what the new image is. You are in control of your own mind in a way that maybe you haven't been for a long time.
Then the brain accepts the replacement. Clients come back the following week, and when they try to access the distress, it's just not there the way that it was. After years of carrying something, sometimes a lifetime of it, we never take that for granted.
This is so true. There's like this spaciousness that I definitely know my clients talk about and I bring up too. And I'm just kind of curious if you bring that up too. Just that spaciousness that they will feel once they work through it. It's an interesting feeling too. And there's also something important to name about who ART works for, because it doesn't require a client to verbally process every detail of their trauma. It works largely without that. So it's accessible for people who have struggled with talk therapy. I've had sessions, I think we named in the mini episode, where people didn't even talk and were able to move through it. People for whom language and the trauma aren't connecting the way traditional therapy assumes they will. People whose bodies hold maybe what words can't touch.
Which actually is a lot of people, if not most, based on our physiological responses and how we store trauma. More than the mental health field has historically made room for.
I love that. I think that could definitely be a focus of a later series, even just sensory processing disorder, I think is more common than a lot of people think. And I think that whole, just the ability to notice what we feel, assign it name, process it.
Right.
We do take that for granted because not a lot of people do that. And that is a sensory processing disorder. Anyway, I digress. Nervous system nuggets, y'all. And this one connects directly to why ART works the way it does. So we are talking about memory reconsolidation.
This is one of the more exciting areas of neuroscience right now, and it completely reframes how we think about traumatic memory. If you ask any of my clients, I am really nerding out in neuroscience right now.
Yay!
It is so fascinating. Yeah, they love it. We love it. We love it.
We do. Yay! For a long time, the prevailing understanding was that memories, once formed, were essentially fixed. You could manage them, avoid them, learn to live alongside them, but you couldn't really change them.
What the research on memory reconsolidation has shown is that is not quite right, because every time you access a memory, it becomes briefly malleable. There's a short window after retrieval before it gets stored again where the memory can actually be updated. That is so cool. You guys, new information can be integrated into it.
Mm-hmm. And this is what ART is doing at a neurological level. It's bringing the memory up, working with it while it's still in that malleable state, and then allowing it to be stored again differently, with less charge, with the new image, with the nervous system signal changed from danger to something the client actually chose. And I think that's so powerful.
Agreed. Probably why the results can be so fast, right? We're not building new coping skills on top of an unchanged wound. You're working with the memory itself while the brain is actually open to revision. And one thing I've learned in EMDR training, if I said this before, the Sorry, but the brain and the body do want to move toward health. We get in the way.
Yes, 100%. And this has implications beyond ART too. It's part of why talking about something in a safe, regulated relationship can shift it over time. Every time a memory is retrieved in a context of safety, it has the chance to be stored a little differently. And so healing happens in the retrieval, not just the processing.
That's pretty cool if you think about it. Your brain is not a fixed archive. It's a living system that is always capable of change. That is so worth sitting with. Our coping skill today comes directly from ART. It's a simplified version of voluntary image replacement. And we want to be clear that what we're offering here is an introduction, not a substitute for working with a trained ART therapist. But the underlying principle is something you can begin to explore.
Think of a memory or image that carries some stress. Not your heaviest material, something manageable. Something that nags at you rather than overwhelms you. And I want you to just hold it lightly for a moment.
Notice what it feels like in your body. Where does it land? There's no right answer, just noticing.
Now, and this is really the heart of it, ask yourself, if I could replace this image with anything at all, what would I want to be there instead? Not what you think you should want, not what sounds healthy or even appropriate. What do you actually want? Sometimes I just say, just whatever your brain gives you in that moment, go for it.
That's nice. I think that's helpful for people that overthink, maybe.
Absolutely. Like me.
You too. Oh gosh. Well, think it could be something peaceful, maybe something completely unrelated, a person or place, a really pretty color or sensation. It might even be something that doesn't make logical sense, and that is okay. The brain doesn't require logic. It responds to what feels right to you.
Spend a moment with the replacement image. Let it be vivid, if that's available. Allowing your nervous system to settle into it.
What you're practicing is agency over your own inner world. For a lot of people, that's something that was taken from them a long time ago. The sense that what lives inside them is actually theirs to work with. This is one way back to that.
If this resonates and you want to go deeper, find an ART trained therapist. The full protocol is something else entirely. But this is a real taste of what's possible. ART changed my practice in a way I didn't fully anticipate when I trained in it. I expected to have a new tool, and what I honestly got was really a different relationship with what's possible in a short amount of time. I've sat with clients who have been in therapy for years. Honest to God, like good therapy, hard work, and watched ART move something in 1 to 2 sessions that hadn't budged. And really, that's not a criticism of any work that came before. I think it's more of like the foundational work that needed to happen to build that capacity for this to happen. And witnessing it shifts something in you as a clinician. It really does. You stop putting a ceiling, honestly, on what's possible. And I'm overselling it and like so enthusiastic about it because this is what happens.
Truly. For me, it deepened something I do believe, but hadn't fully, I guess, experienced, that the body does know what it needs. It is very smart. ART works the way it does partly because it gets out of the way the brain's own healing intelligence. It creates the conditions and then trusts the process. Watching that happen over and over, it has made me a more patient therapist, really more willing to follow than lead.
That is so true. And we both want to say, for anyone listening who has felt like they've tried everything, who has done the work and still feels stuck, ART might be worth exploring. Really not as like a magic fix, and as a genuinely different door into the same room you've been trying to reach.
I like that you said not as a magic fix. There is no magic fix, friends.
This is true.
That's true. There's just some stuff you got to work with here. So there, with ART, I really think there are more doors than most people are really ever told about. And we want this show to keep being one of the places that points toward doors of freedom, really, in health and healing.
This week's reflection question: is there an image, a memory, a moment, a picture that your mind keeps returning to that you wish felt differently? Just notice it. You don't have to do anything with it today. Just let yourself know it's there and that it isn't fixed.
That's enough for now.
And thank you for being here for this one. We loved making the original, and we loved coming back to it. ART deserves all the airtime we can give it.
It truly does. We will see you next week. And remember, healing isn't linear, and we're here for the ride. This podcast is for educational purposes only, and it is not a substitute for therapy, medical care, or professional advice.
Listening to this podcast or this episode does not create a therapeutic, clinical, or professional relationship with us.
If you're experiencing distress, physical symptoms, or emotional concerns that feel overwhelming, we both encourage you to seek support from a qualified healthcare or mental health professional.
And if you are in immediate danger or need urgent support, please contact local emergency services or a crisis line in your area.